Now we're getting some information on the infrastructure side of this and how big this is and how well this might have looked like if you were going to carry out a terrorist attack on the United States. If you were going to carry out an infrastructure attack on the United States, where would you go? Well, according to experts, whoever did this and carried out this cyber attack chose the best spot in the United States to do this. Because now we're getting, as Michael Yon tweeted earlier today, this is basically an economic nuclear strike on the United States. If you think about how the inflow of ships coming in are now affected and the outflow of ships leaving the port of Baltimore are struck. A major infrastructure hit, as he writes. The port of Baltimore is a major port serving Baltimore, Washington, D.C. All of the shipping north of the bridge is now trapped in place. No other shipping can get in. The tunnel shown in different images, of course, has a height and hazardous cargo restriction, so it can't get out. So all of the hazardous cargo. We learn now, of course, the dozens of shipping containers filled with hazardous chemicals and those that have now leached chemicals into the harbor. It's going to be, first of all, it took years to build the Francis Scott Key Bridge. How long will it take for them to clear this debris and get it open to at least get back to some sort of normalcy? It's going to be months, if not years, until they can do this. Go ahead, David.
And you have to think of how much stuff actually comes to the East Coast, because they'd have to go all the way around to the West Coast to ship things. That's a major port.
Right. It's absolutely
coming from.
It's the second busiest, second most important port, important port in the United States. And so they really hit it the right target at the right time and caused the maximum amount of damage here. And for those of you that think that this is just one simple incident here, it also affects the United States and military and the fast response ships that, of course, that are trapped inside of this port right now. In addition to which, if you think about the cyber attacks here and how this is not just this attack. This is multiple helicopter crashes. This is multiple attacks on other targets in the United States. And you're seeing it, but we're not getting any attention paid to it. Like, why there's no discussion about this? Because I think maybe they don't want to admit that we're vulnerable, that we're this vulnerable now to these types of attacks. It's kind of unbelievable. As Joshua Reed, friend of the show, points out, the USS Fitzgerald 2017, the USS John McCain was also struck 2017, the USS Connecticut in 2021. How many military aircraft have now crashed as a result of cyber attacks in the past decade? How many helicopter incidents, he says, over the past 5 years? And we now know, going back to 2013, the ability to hack these vehicles, going back, as I've reported here on the show when I did that investigative report about the cars being taken over by hackers and driving people into a tree. And they took over the car that I was driving to show how that all unfolded. It was legitimate. It absolutely happened. So, this idea of a foreign entity tracking and cracking into U.S. military software systems is very concerning. And I think there's this sort of willful ignorance right now in the United States about this. Then we see this other bridge being struck, this other port being struck just a few over the weekend, of course. Another barge hitting a pylon in one of these, what I'm trying to say, bridge pylon, also was attacked and hit. Do you think that these are just coincidences? And I think more people need to be paying attention to this. Also, we learned the Baltimore Police Marine Unit was cut from the city budget, according to Chesapeake Bay Magazine. So the individuals who would be policing those waters had that slashed from the budget, so we don't have those eyeballs on that area anymore. The whole thing absolutely stinks here, and so I think we're going to be learning more and more about just how devastating this is economically to the United States. And when we see more of these, will they be linked, and will there be connections to this? I hope the Biden administration, though, is honest with us. We know that this was a cyber attack. I hope that they will come out and tell us, this is what happened. This is who was responsible. Here is how it happened. But they're not telling us this.
No, they're ready to move on.
They immediately were ready to move on and not tell us about this.
Yeah.
Even without an investigation. So the NTSB, of course, didn't even arrive on the ship for 2 days later, but the Biden administration that morning is able to tell us, there's nothing to see here. Don't worry about it. Move on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just going to point that out. That's the thing that I constantly come back to on this, is that they knew the answer before they got the test. That implies cheating to me.
Right.
You know.
But I think the update here is just how economically bad this is, and to keep an eye on other bridge attacks, other infrastructure attacks from a cyber perspective over the coming days. And will we hear anything from the Biden administration? Will reporters be brave enough to push the Biden White House on this? I mean, what are you doing in the White House press briefing room? Push the White House press secretary on this point and ask her these tough questions. Why is there 2 minutes of missing NTSB data from the black box recordings? The 2 most vital minutes of this? We're not stupid. We know that there's something going on here.
She's just going to say that the Republicans blocked it and the Republicans didn't pass a bill that would have fixed that bridge. Like, it's
yeah.
She's not. They're never going to own up to any of this stuff. I mean, it's kind of obvious. Like Philip said, they knew something, obviously, but we'll never know. I mean, what? Tell me the last time we ever got, like, look at East Palestine, look at Lahaina, any of this stuff. When did we ever actually get any kind of real information that shows what happened?
No, they're not going to tell us. Let us know your thoughts on this. But I think the big piece of this is the economic collapse and what this means to the United States and what this means to our ability to ship in and out hazardous materials and major pieces of cargo flowing out of the United States and into the United States. I think it's absolutely devastating. So we'll continue to watch this story as this unfolds, and any little piece that we can dive more deeply into, we'll try to bring it here to you on this show. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. You know, YouTube thinks that you'll actually like this next video right here. It's personalized based on your own viewing habits. So if you watch the video, please leave a comment. Let us know what you think about it, and we will see you next time, everyone.